Bonjour, Paris! Luckily, it is a beautiful day today, not cold and not raining. So we were able to already see a magnificent performance at the Paris Opera, Palais Garnier, the famous one where the fountain of the opera lives. But they performed Nijinsky's Sacre du Printemps, and here is the theater where it actually premiered, Théâtre du Châtelet, and it caused a great scandal when it premiered. And a riot broke out in the audience, and people were very against it because it was too modern, and then the modernists were very for it because they wanted new ballet and new art in Paris. So we're right by the Seine River, and we're gonna take a walk along the Seine today. Okay, come and join me. Okay, we're on the bridge spanning the Seine River, and behind us is one of the royal castles with the incredible stained glass chapel, and over to the corner is Notre Dame Paris, which they saved because it nearly burnt totally down. It's in reconstruction, and hopefully in 4 to 5 years it will be back good as new or good as old. So you can see the crane in the distance. So we're gonna take a walk along the Seine. Okay, here we go. One important site I want to point out before we leave the Place du Châtelet here is behind the trees is a tower, a Gothic tower, the Tour de Saint-Jacques, which is very important because it marked the beginning of pilgrimages from here, Paris, all in the Middle Ages, all the way to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. And so that was a very long foot journey, and for pilgrimage to feel sorry for all the sins you committed. And there's the Eiffel Tower and the Church of the Invalid where Napoleon's buried. So let's take a walk down the... Look, we got to get down from the street because it's really noisy here. So in good weather, there's all these booksellers who sell prints and books, but they're mostly closed up for the winter now because of the bad weather. And there's lovely cafes where people sit, read a newspaper, or actually read their iPhones or tablets, because nobody reads a real newspaper anymore, a physical one at least. And they order a coffee, or even they start in on wine, I don't know. But it's kind of early for wine, I think, but coffee. So here we go down where it's along the Seine and very quiet because there's no traffic, pedestrian only. And there goes a river barge. Very big business here in Paris are the touristic tours you take by barge. You can book just a 1 hour one and you just buy some drinks on board, or you can book a dinner and they serve a full 5-course dinner on the barge while you see Paris by night. So every time I come to Paris, it is always special, it is always different. Even though I love many places in the world, every time I come back to Paris, I do come to the idea that Paris is my favorite city in the world. For its beauty, for its culture, for its food. And so I will always keep coming back to Paris. So interesting to notice here along the embankment, they have the iron rings where they would tie up the barges when, before the invention of automobiles and trucks, barge was the primary way of moving transport into the city and out of the city, taking their trash out and all. So there were tons of barges filling up the river before the invention of the automobile. But now everything comes in on trucks. And when it does flood, water does come up here. It's been known that water has reached almost to the top of those arches on the bridge, which is, wow, 30 feet. So yeah, Paris has flooded in the past. They've developed a lot of ways to mitigate flooding, but with global warming, there's no guarantees about the future. So this could get flooded again. But luckily, they built the street high enough where I do not believe it will get that high. So the city of Paris has developed this and keeps it very clean, because here's an exercise area where you can work out, because a lot of people do their morning jogs, but you can use this exercise, well, primitive exercise equipment. So this is the famous Ponif, the 9th bridge. Very decorative with all these faces. And here you have the watermark to when they have the flood, and it shows 1910, how high the water got in 1910. Very bad. So the water is flowing very rapidly, and across the bridge there's a monumental park dedicated to the massacre of the Yugonatons. And I learned about that history in a museum yesterday, how yes, with the Reformation and because of England persecuting Catholics here in France, the Catholics were persecuting the Protestants, and they massacred thousands of them, and it was a big tragedy, and it became an opera by Jacobin Meyerbeer, who wrote Les Huguenots, which was a huge success at the Paris Opera. So this roadway used to be busy with cars, and thank God it's not anymore. So people can exercise here. But I think this might have been the tunnel that Princess Diana, they were driving away, escaping paparazzi, and they crashed within the tunnel. So I'm not sure if it's this one or another one, but that's how she died here in Paris. So now we get to the lovely walk with all these trees along the Seine. And all I can think in my head is the Cole Porter song, I love Paris in the springtime, I love Paris in the fall. Why, oh why do I love Paris? Oh, I love Paris, oh so much. So that's the church of Invalid, where Napoleon is laid to rest for good and for bad. He is a big chunk of French history, of European history, of world history. He started out with great ideas and of course became too powerful and a despot, and they had to get rid of him. But he did leave the Napoleonic Code, which is the basis for most countries' civil law. A lovely pedestrian bridge over the Seine. Here's a cute little couple, a male and female duck, taking their little bath. Cuckoo! Cuckoo! Don't end up in a pate, Chai. Oh, you're gonna have babies? Maybe. That's what they do. Okay. So we're gonna leave the walkway along the river Oh, and here's a big tradition. People buy these locks and they put their initials on it, or even actually put their whole names on it, and leave them as a sign of eternal love, which of course we don't know how many couples have broke up after putting the lock on, but anyway, it's a big kind of a mess because the city has to come along once in a while and remove and cut all these locks. So here we go up these stairs, and we are going to see one of the most historic, most beautiful buildings in Paris as we come up. And here we are at the former Royal Palace, which is now the Louvre Museum after the French Revolution, and it holds the world's greatest art treasures. Look at all these birds. They're hungry. Hungry bird. So here we have the signage from the late 19th century, Musée du Louvre, Galerie des Antiques. And it's one of the ornate balconies of the former palace that they preserved. And it's so huge, it's always in a constant state of restoration to keep it clean. I remember the first time I came to Paris in 1982, and it was very dirty. It was all black, the stone, and now it's all gleaming white. And of course they restored many of the carvings. They copied them and put new ones in. And here's a working barge. So along with the touristic barges, there are still working barges here in Paris, moving heavy loads at a very economical price. So they do still use the river as a means of transport. And there's the Eiffel Tower in the distance. So this restoration is being sponsored by Cartier, which gets to advertise up there. So it's very cool Art Deco lighting fixtures that they added to this bridge, I believe in the 20s. And here's it says the Croix François Mitterrand, to honor the great president that led the nation for 20 years. And here's the entrance to the Louvre. So we have to watch the traffic so nobody gets hurt. And now in winter, the chestnuts are roasted and everyone eats them on a cold winter day. And the palace had its own gardens, Les Tuileries, which extends down this way. And it's a lovely park with cafes in it now. but it used to be all private, belonging to the King of France. And here we come into the Grand Entrée that they built, the glass pyramid, when they renovated the Louvre, what, 30 years ago? And of course, made very famous by Dan Brown in the Da Vinci Code. Woo! You're in an American video. So, according to Dan Brown, Mary Magdalene is laid to rest somewhere underneath, but that's all fantasy. So, in reality, it is the grand entrance to the Louvre. And in this time of COVID, everyone has to have a reservation. You cannot just walk in and get a ticket anymore. You have to book ahead. You have to show your passe sanitaire, which is proof that you're vaccinated. And you have to wear a mask. And so they followed in London's footsteps by installing a Ferris wheel here. Like in London, they have that big Ferris wheel along the Thames. Here they have it in the Tuileries. But it is glorious, and we are so lucky. It's so beautiful weather today. So here's a lovely, very upscale cafe. How much are they charging? Oh. It's not cheap, but it's not, I guess, terribly expensive. But it is something special to eat here at the Louvre. Very lovely. So, the grand corridors where the court of the King of France used to run around, because across the street, of course, were administrative buildings. So everyone had to come and pay homage to the king. But the detail, it's just, there's so much detail to everything here in Paris. The designs are just incredible. Lampposts, water gratings, just amazing, all the detail you can notice. So here we have a poster of the Mona Lisa. Retrouver l'esprit, return of the smile, yes. No, messy. Look at this lamppost, beautiful. So what a lovely surprise to have that cellist student played very well the Bach cello sonata, and they played the bourrée, which I'm very, very fond of. So we're on the other side of the Louvre. You can see this side is dirtier. And here is the most beautiful metro station like in the world. This Art Nouveau is just spectacular. Palais Royal, Musée du Louvre, and line 1 and 7. So the metro of Paris is very easy to use. and very, very beautiful. So we are going to the Comédie Française, which is a historic theater where all the great plays of the Baroque period were performed, and also the home of the legendary Adrienne Lecouvreur, which of course is a very fantastic Verismo opera. But she was a real actress who worked here. The Comédie Française. And Sarah Bernhardt, of course, was discovered, so the legend says, when she recited the Le Marseillaise for her entrance into the academy. Instead of a classic play, dialogue, monologue, she recited the French national anthem and was so incredible that the Academy, of course, accepted her and she became a legend, Sarah Bernhardt. So here is the high fashion district. Place de Vendôme is nearby, where all the designers and jewelers have their shops. A very nice hotel, Hotel de Louvre. If you have 500 euros or more a night. And there's the Paris Opera. So, isn't it kind of odd? These red Christmas trees are still in style here. It created quite a scandal when Melania Trump installed them in our White House. But red Christmas trees in Paris, what can you say? Whew! So many people. And there's the Comédie Française. Not over. And a Häagen-Dazs in Paris. There's the famous Häagen-Dazs ice cream. Morocco. It's a tourist office. The history between France and Morocco is very legendary, as it was a colony for quite a while. So we're on the most fashionable street, Rue Honoré, and they have all these boutique shops, upscale cafes. The best of Paris can be found on this street. And here's the old church, Saint-Roch. Bonjour. The famous soap shop, Roger et Gallet. And that's very, very famous soap. They sell all over the world at the best stores. Love that statue of the saint with the dog. Aww. Beautiful. Wow. And everyone is dressed so fashionable. It's like people know how to dress here in France. Woo! A very cute side street here. What do we have here? There's a line for... What are they lining up for? To eat something really nice. What do they have here? Look at the pastry. That is worth lining up for. Oh my god. Here's a lovely boutique hotel. Oh, the famous Fragonard, famous perfume shop. What else do we have here? Beautiful shop there. There's a Yves Saint Laurent. Okay. Which we danced Yves Saint Laurent costumes in the ballet from Roland Petit, Notre Dame de Paris. So I could say I wore Yves Saint Laurent once in my life. And here's our Christian Dior. So we are in the heart of really incredible shopping. If you have the money, go for it. If you don't, you could just look, like me. So part of the fun of walking around Paris is discovering open doors and courtyards. And you never know what beautiful things you will see. So there's a beautiful little shop back here in this courtyard. And it looks like a little cafe with so it looks like they sell champagne. Very nice. Typical Paris. Beautiful portico with the lamp. And you could tell these used to be gaslit until they were set up with electricity. But very cool. All right, let's continue. We're going to Place Vendôme, and we're going to try to find my favorite perfume shop. We'll see if we find it. And we found it! This is it. Guerlain, my all-time favorite. I just love this shop. So we're gonna go in and have a test. My favorite. So here we are in the Guerlain, and the world famous Vetiver Guerlain, which is my favorite fragrance in the world. And so they built this new shop, which is beautiful. And they have, of course, the feminine Shalimar. Very beautiful. Only the best. So here we are, number 1, Place Vendôme. And there's the new Louis Vuitton shop. Done up for the holidays, I believe. Just amazing. And this is the most exclusive shopping place in the world if you want jewels, fashion, fragrance. Everyone who's a who's who has come shopping here. And if you really have the money, and money is no object, you can stay at the best hotel, which is Le Ritz, right here. truly, truly amazing. So right there is the Hotel Ritz, where celebrities, royalty, they all stay there. And if you have the money, you can stay there too. What's 1,000 euros or two, huh? Well, we're here at the Igles Madeleine, which is built in a style of a Grecian temple. And this church is very important because the resting place of many of France's heroes. And so most recently, they reinterred our Josephine Baker here because she was a great patriot of France and helped France a great deal during World War II. Even though she was also born in America, but America treated her very poorly. So the church is going through a restoration, and I'm not quite sure what side is open, but we're gonna try to find if it's open on the side or not. We can ask here. Monsieur, c'est l'église ouverte? Non? Okay. Ah, merci. So the church really does need a restoration. This is really dark. The stone from all the exhaust and smog of Paris eating away at the stone. So just like the Louvre and other monuments, they get to them one at a time and get them cleaned up. So I don't know when, a couple of years from now, it'll be all bright and shiny. Oh, you can see the cornices up there where they cleaned it. But the statues are very dirty. Well, we're here at someplace very special. Honoré is the most famous pastry shop in the city, and we're going to get a pastry. So they are world famous. They ship them all over the world. Macaroons are the best in the world, but they also do fantastic patisserie. But their macaroons are to die for. So many wonderful flavors. It's just hard to choose which one to get. They all look so good. So we're going to get, which one do we want? We just want a little one. Just a little one. Bonjour, un petit marron?
Oui, il y a un peu d'alcool dedans. Il y a du rhum dedans.
Oui, marron, oui. So it's enough sugar for us for one day. The doctor says we shouldn't have that much sugar, but so this little treasure, an airy cookie made with almond flour, sugar, egg whites, and then with the filling, I got the chestnut, the marron. And here we go. World famous. Definitely, definitely, definitely a must try when you're in Paris. So this is world famous Maxime's restaurant, the Belle Epoque restaurant that Vincent Minnelli shot Gigi in 1958, and it won Oscar Best Picture. And I grew up watching Gigi, so you can see a little bit inside how elegant it is. And I went here a long time ago, 30 years ago, for a birthday dinner, which I'll never forget. But this trip is not meant to be, but it is fun to reminisce. And here we are at Madonna's favorite hotel, Le Carillon, on Place de Concorde. So it's between this or the Ritz, but people say the Ritz is nicer, but this has the view, which people like to have the view. And all the people like to show off their money with their Ferraris. Hotel de Crillon. And there's the Tuileries at the end, with the Louvre way, way, way in the back. So they're restoring in the Place de Concorde the Egyptian obelisk that they stole from Egypt and brought here during the Napoleonic era. Maybe one day they're going to return it to Egypt, who knows? And then there's a lovely park over here. Well, this is the end of our video as we're running out of battery. It's been a wonderful walk in Paris, and the afternoon is getting late here in December. It is really, truly amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining me on my little walking tour, and I hope you enjoyed this video.